In this video, we are going to learn how to calculate the surface area of a rectangular prism. Consider a rectangular prism. Let the length of this rectangular prism be L, let the width be W, and let the height be H. What does this mean? This means that the length of this edge of the rectangular prism is L, the length of this edge of the rectangular prism is W, and the length of this edge of the rectangular prism is H. Now what we want to determine is the surface area of this rectangular prism. That is, we want to determine the total area of the surface of the rectangular prism. How do we do that? We do that by finding the sum of the areas of all of the faces of the rectangular prism. So let's do that. So we want to determine the formula for the surface area of the rectangular prism. Now let us consider the faces of the rectangular prism. Now, first of all, consider this face over here, this face which is on the bottom. That is a rectangle. And we can see that the length of this rectangle is L, and the width of this rectangle is W. Now, since the area of a rectangle is given by the length times the width, the area of that face will simply be equal to L times W. Now consider this top face over here. Now this face is also a rectangle whose length is L and whose width is W. And so the area of this face is also going to be L times W. Next, let us consider these two faces. Which two? Consider this face over here on the side, and consider this face over here on this side. Now we can see that both of these are rectangles. The length of this rectangle is W and the width of this rectangle is H. So the area will simply be W times H. So we have two of these, W times H. Then consider the next two faces. Now we are going to consider this face over here, this front face, and we are going to consider this face over here, that is the face at the back of the rectangular prism. So we can see that for both of these rectangles, the length will be L and the width will be H. And because of that, the area of these two faces will simply be L times H. So the surface area is going to be obtained by adding all of these areas. And if we add all of these areas, what do we end up with? We end up with 2 times L times W plus 2 times W times H plus 2 times L times H. So what do we end up with? What we end up with is that the surface area of a rectangular prism is equal to 2 times the length times the width plus the width times the height plus the length times the height. So this is our required formula for the surface area of a rectangular prism. Now let us have a look at a few practice problems to see how we can apply this formula. Let us determine the surface areas of the rectangular prisms which are given. Now consider this first rectangular prism. We can see that the length of this rectangular prism is 5 inches. The width is 2 inches and the height is 3 inches. So let us determine the surface area by using the formula. What is the formula? This is 2 times LW plus WH plus LH. So what do we have? 2 times LW, so we end up with 5 times 2. Then WH, so 2 times 3. Then LH, so 5 times 3. So 2 times 5 times 2, that is 10. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 3 is 15. So what we end up with is 2 times 10 plus 6 plus 15, that is equal to 31. And 2 times 31 is equal to 62. Now, since the lengths of the edges is given in inches, so the unit for this will be inches squared. So the surface area for this rectangular prism will be 62 square inches. Let us consider the next rectangular prism. Now we can see that in this rectangular prism, the length is 1 foot, the width is 3 feet, and the height is 4 feet. So let us determine the surface area by using the formula. We have 2 times LW plus WH plus LH. So 2 times LW, so we have 1 times 3. Then we have WH, that is 3 times 4. Then we have LH, that is 1 times 4. So we end up with 2 times 1 times 3, that is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 4 is 4. So we have 2 times 3 plus 12 plus 4, that is equal to 19. And 2 times 19 is equal to 38. And since the length of the edges is given in feet, the unit for the surface area will be feet squared. So the surface area of this rectangular prism is 38 square feet. Let us consider the next rectangular prism. Now in this rectangular prism, we can see that the length is 8 centimeters, the width is 2 centimeters, and the height is 2 centimeters. So let us consider the surface area. What is the formula? It will be 2 times LW plus WH plus LH. So we have 2 times LW, that's 8 times 2. WH, that's 2 times 2. LH, that is 8 times 2. So we end up with 2 times 8 times 2, that's 16. 2 times 2 is 4. 8 times 2 is 16. This is equal to 2 times 16 plus 4 plus 16. That is equal to 36. And 2 times 36 is equal to 72. Now, since the lengths of the edges are given in centimeters, the unit for the surface area will be centimeters squared. So the surface area for this rectangular prism will be 72 square centimeters. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. See you next time.